Hi, my name is Dan Augusto here for Gearwire.com, and we're checking out the Barge Concepts BP-1. Now this is supposed to be a remix of the Interfax Harmonic Percolator, made famous by Steve Albini in his band Shellac, most famously. So it's a bit different than the other pedal, and if you watch our video that we actually did with Mr. Albini at his studio, in the situation that we put it in, it actually didn't perform too well. Well, I've had a chance to actually play a lot more, spend a lot more time with the BP-1, and I actually found it to be quite nice for sort of a medium distortion. And you can also push it up there, but it gets a little wild. Not really what I like from a distortion pedal, but if we keep it low, I actually really like it. So let's, without further ado, let's listen to some of the sounds. I'm playing a Rickenbacker 360 in Maple Glow. And we have the PV Valve King is on the clean channel, and it's mic'd up with an SM57 and an AKG 414 XL2. All right, I'm going to turn the pedal off. Listen to our sound. I'm on the bridge pickup. All right, and now this is sort of a heavy distortion setting, not incredibly crunchy, but if we look at the knobs, we have the harmonics and balances are our two probably most important knobs on this, and then our output is actually all the way down because this adds a lot of gain. Our drive is at midnight, but it's actually disengaged. You can turn it on and off with this. If I were to press this, you'll hear raising the noise floor. But we'll leave it off for now. Now, one thing I really like about this pedal is that it is, on sustained notes, it has sort of a character to it that doesn't stay in one place. The harmonics change over time, especially like if, say, like the opening to Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix, I could just press down this fret and sort of do a vibrato. You can hear how it sort of changes over time. So let's listen to a few of the different sounds we can get out of this. First of all, let's examine these knobs a bit, balance and harmonics, because these are sort of the most confusing of the bunch. One thing I've noticed that was interesting is if we turn down the balance all the way, there's no sound coming out of the amp at all. And the same goes for the harmonics. Nothing at all. But as we turn these up, if we leave the balance like straight up and we turn the harmonics up, that's what the harmonics one does. I'm going to do the same with the balance one, so we'll leave the harmonics straight up and we'll sweep the balance up. So it seems like the balance actually lends a bit more clean tone to it when you have it turned up. So this is sort of, you kind of think of this as almost a gain knob. And the harmonics is actually sort of like a distortion. So if we have that up and the balance further down, we get a more saturated tone. Now, the interesting thing about the harmonic percolator is that it's supposed to add even order harmonics instead of, a lot of distortion pedals and overdrive pedals add both even and odd harmonics. Odd harmonics are the ones generally associated, like if you're clipping a digital input, you'll get a lot of odd harmonics and it doesn't sound all that great and it squares off the waveform. Now, even ordered harmonics, that's the sort of harmonics that you talk about when there is a tape distortion, like if you're overdriving a cassette tape or a reel-to-reel tape, you tend to get more even order harmonics. So that's what lends to sort of the warmth and clarity of the distortion in this pedal. So definitely the harmonics is sort of a saturation control, if you will, if you're talking about like a tape saturation. So let's check out some of the more clean sort of tones. I feel this pedal really excels at like jangly sort of sounds, just because of how it deals with dissonant chords. Usually a lot of even just fuzz pedals, which this is supposed to emulate. When you play a dissonant chord like a tritone or something like that. This is a tritone. Both of the notes speak pretty well. There is some beating, but a lot of times, if you were to turn up the gain on a normal pedal and you played that, it would sound, you would hear mostly beats and just a lot of noise. This pedal, the tones really speak through. Let me turn down the output a little bit. To get really dissonant here, let's throw in some other random notes. Turn up the gain even more. So that's about as distorted as it will get with the drive disengaged, but we can still sort of discern every tone, even though there's that sort of distorted sound glazing or sort of holding the sound together, like saturated sound. All right, let's turn these down and look at the drive control. I'm going to leave it all the way down right now. Disengaged and now engaged. So it doesn't do anything because we have the drive down. We turn that up. So we're starting to hear a bit more fuzz. What I believe this is happening here is that the first gain stage in here is just getting a little bit more overdriven. So not only are we hearing the sound of the harmonic percolator with the harmonics, the saturation sort of sound that we spoke about, we're also getting a little bit of fuzz to it. So I'm actually going to have to turn down the gain on the amp over here a little bit. And let's just listen to how this pedal just all the way up. So actually what we're getting there is a lot of compression, and I believe that happens when you turn up the drive because it's actually hitting that first gain stage in the pedal so hard that it hits it and compression kicks in, and then as the sustain happens, the volume starts to come back up. Let's see how that happens again. So we can see how the sound, when it gets its loudest, actually gets pushed down, and then as it decays, it actually pumps up. It's what we call pumping, and it sounds like pumping with a slow release compressor. So that's the Barge Concepts BP-1. I hope you see that it's performing quite differently than it did when we shot our thing at Electrical Audio with Steve Albini. So it's still a worthwhile pedal in my opinion. Just something in a situation with amps as loud as perhaps they were using at the studio, it may not perform as well. It may cause a lot of feedback. So you want to be careful about where you put it in your chain and about how loud you're running your amp. So thanks for checking this out at Gearwire.com.